Hi, everybody. This is Strong Women, Strong Girls Executive Director Jocelyn. I am coming at you today from my home office. Like everybody else, I am hanging out at home so that I can stay safe and healthy, not going to work, not going to school. But that doesn't mean that just because we're home, we want to stop learning or having fun. So today I'm going to share with you one of our lessons from SWSG's 2020 curriculum so you can learn more about some female role models. Maybe you'll be inspired to do something cool from home. So without any further ado, here we go to learn about the Census Complete Count Committee. A very important event in the American government is happening in 2020. Do you know what it is? The event that's happening is called the US Census. The census only happens every 10 years, and this year is happening in April. A census finds out how many people live in the United States by counting every single person using a short set of questions that are called a questionnaire. Questionnaires are either mailed to each house in the United States or someone might come to your door to ask questions. Have you ever filled out a questionnaire at school or at SWSG? Some people in America, though, don't know about the census. This can be a problem because the government uses the census information to decide what communities get new services like schools, playgrounds, roads, and police stations. If the census is not able to estimate or count the number of people in a community, some people might miss out on these important services. In Pittsburgh, a few women working in local government decided to form something called the Complete Count Committee to work towards the common goal of telling people about the census and getting everybody represented. The women's names are Andrea Stanford, Faye Akintola, and Jess Mooney. Andrea, Faye, and Jess created the committee because they noticed not everyone was being counted in the census. Through the committee, these women educate people about how important it is to fill out the census and how to do so, because the census has a big impact on our communities. They do this by holding meetings in different neighborhoods all around Pittsburgh, answering questions, and helping people to understand why it's important to be counted. Now, they are hoping everyone in Pittsburgh is completely counted in the 2020 census. So, that's our bio. It's a little bit different from what we normally do because we didn't talk too much about our role models, Andrea, Jess, and Faye. We talked a little bit more about what the census is and what that means to us. It's maybe a little bit confusing if you've never heard of it before, but I think it's really cool because the census helps us to know how many people are out there, how many kids live in a neighborhood, so that we can make decisions about, do we need another school? Do we need more playgrounds? Whatever services that we might need. And if the government doesn't know how many people or who is in what neighborhoods, how are they going to know where to send those services? There might be one neighborhood that ends up with 10 playgrounds and another neighborhood without enough. So I'm really interested in the census. I know that you're going to be getting letters dropped off at your house, and your parents might be having folks knocking on their door to see if they can do the questionnaire with them to learn more about them, how many people live in the house, and what they all do. So keep your eyes open, and if you haven't yet, maybe you should share with your parents about the census and everything you learned in this lesson. The couple questions, too, that we could think about when we're talking about the census. So one is, how many people do you think live in your neighborhood? 50, 100, 500? That's a good question. I haven't thought about it for my neighborhood, so I'm going to have to think about it a little bit more. Another question that we could think about is, if you made a questionnaire to learn more about people in your neighborhood, what kinds of questions would you ask to find out who they are and what they need? Would you ask how many kids are in the house? Would you ask what their favorite hobbies are? What kind of questions would you put in a questionnaire to learn about your community? Finally, my last question I wanted to share with you guys to think a little more about is that Andrea, Faye, and Jess work in local government. Can you think of any other things that our local government does? Anything that the government helps you with? One thing I can think that they do is they do trash pickup, and that's really important to me because I don't like to have smelly trash in my backyard forever. And if we didn't have those guys coming and picking up my trash, I would. So there's a lot of things that the government does that are really helpful for us. Anyway, that was our bio and story about Andrea Faye and Jessica Mooney. And that was our story about the Census Complete Counts Committee. So I hope that you all learned something cool, and I especially hope that you're going to share with your parents everything you know about the census to make sure that you and your families get completely counted this year, so we all have the services that we need and deserve in our communities. Thanks for taking some time to learn with me, and I hope you guys are having a great time, and like I said, coming up with some cool and inspiring new activities while you're spending time at home. Everyone have a good day. Bye.